Please welcome CEO and co-founder CB Insights, Anand Sanwal.
Hi, everybody. Let's try that again. Hi, everybody. All right, nice. You guys are good. So I've got 10 minutes and 40 slides. So we'll see how this goes. This could go very bad. All right, so I'm going to talk about the unbundling of travel very quickly. So start with this premise. In the next 5 years, the industry will see more change than it's seen in the last 50, and we're going to kind of walk through why we believe that is. First, kind of walk through at a very high level what we think is sort of phase 4 of the travel industry, right? So first phase was sort of creation of supply, the different vendors, I guess, that you see out there. Phase 2, supply optimization. Then you had sort of the OTAs and distribution and promotion. And now we're looking at different tech-enabled platforms and services. And I think personalization sort of falls into that. So that's kind of where we're at today. And so in this kind of faster growing or faster changing space, right, sort of understanding emerging trends, identifying startup disruptors. I think the third one, in terms of seeing new competitors, becomes really interesting, and we'll talk through kind of where that's happening. And then there's obviously new business models and technologies that are emerging. So if you want this presentation, I don't know if the Skift folks are sending it out, just tweet at me or hit me up on email. I'll send it to you. CB Insights, so just really quickly, we mine a bunch of data, patents, venture capital financings, news media, Reddit comments, to try to figure out where technology is going. So that's kind of us. You know, big companies tend to use sort of Google, gut instinct, and guys with MBAs for these decisions. We think sort of machine learning is the better way to do that. So we get quoted by the media a lot. That's our companies, our customers. So I'm going to start with this quote by the CEO of Hilton. I hope he's not here. So this is kind of, you know, his view on Airbnb, right? And this is sort of the traditional incumbent dismissal of emerging players, right? And I love the last line, right? It's companies that, you know, customers that don't care about consistently high quality products and don't need amenities, I just don't buy it. So it's kind of like this really awesomely crafted diss of Airbnb. You know, very, very smart. But the problem is that these experiments of today become tomorrow's problems, right? And so in the background, you see here that kind of famous Clay Christensen disruptive innovation framework. Companies that start off at the sort of low quality use case end up scaling up and kind of moving up to the more demanding use cases. So you had eBay in the beginning was Beanie Babies and other sort of, you know, sort of trivial goods, and then moved upstream. You had, you know, Netflix and Blockbuster, and this has happened again and again in different industries. So it's a problem, right? And so we're going to look a little bit at just what's happening in travel tech. So here you see kind of $2.8 billion invested in the last 4 quarters. I'm not sure why the headline is so small, but that's kind of the key point here. Smart VCs are very bullish on the space. So, you know, we think of venture as a community. It's interesting to track. There's only a handful of VCs who know what the hell they're doing. So you kind of want to focus on those guys. So here you see folks like Excel and Index and General Catalyst and Canaan, right? So kind of the smart money still investing in travel tech. This is kind of that breakdown by geography. The US is sort of flat. There's lots of activity in India and China, probably not all that unexpected. Here you have kind of your most well-funded private travel tech companies. So, you know, interestingly, only one of the top 5 is based in the US. 3, I don't know how to say it, Tujia, I'll try, is sort of the Airbnb of China, right? So that model is one that people are trying to experiment. It's not, Airbnb hasn't won it globally. There's, you know, China is obviously trying to put up entrants here as well. The other thing that we think is interesting is looking at where the big money is investing. So this is mutual funds, sovereign wealth funds, hedge funds. They continue to actively invest in travel as well. So this is not the venture community, but the really big money later stage folks. And so here you see some of those folks. So Coatue, Tiger Global, you know, T. Rowe, et cetera, all investing in travel. So again, investors only invest in spaces where they see opportunity, right? And so just following the money is a great indicator of that opportunity. So why are these experiments kind of happening more and more? Part of it is just the cost. So I was at a startup in 2000 called Cosmo.com. Anybody remember Cosmo? Right? So Cosmo's business model was buy stuff for $2 and sell it for $1, and so that didn't work out very well. And so, but it cost millions of dollars back then. We had racks of hardware and a bunch of, just, it was crazy. And now with Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure, it's come down significantly, $5,000 in 2011. It's probably come down by another factor of 10 by now. So the result of this is it's very easy and cheap now to experiment. Still expensive to scale, but easy to launch. And so this is my favorite graphic of all time. And what it shows you is how technology adoption has changed over time. And so if you look all the way on the left, 1900, look at that orange line, that's the telephone. It took 105 years for the telephone to get to 90% penetration in the US. And then look kind of around 1990, where you see the cell phone and internet. And look how quickly those got to that same level of penetrations. So technology adoption is accelerating, and this is happening in every industry, and we'll show you kind of what that means in a second. And even within tech, the pace is accelerating. So this is kind of 5 different examples. And Gmail, Facebook, by any conventional comparison, were insanely fast growing. And then now you look at WhatsApp, which just sort of blew them out of the water. So the pace of this innovation continues to get more and more fast. And this is what this means for the incumbents. Those of you who work at big companies, 52% of the Fortune 500 has disappeared in the last 15 years. And in 1955, if you were in the S&P 500, it was 61 years before you fell out, right? So if you were the CEO or C-level person at a Fortune 500 company back then, you didn't really have to worry that much, because by the time the company fell out, you were dead. Now, in 2015, we're at 17 years, and that continues to contract, right? So things are moving faster, and technology is a big driver of that. And part of the reason for that is startups. I think we talk to lots of big incumbent companies, or a lot of them are our clients. Most of them are our clients. And the common retort is, we'll show them a startup, and they'll say, well, that startup is shit for X, Y, and Z reasons, right? And they're probably right. Right? Most startups fail. This is sort of the VC funnel. 1,000 companies came in. Only 9 got to a 6th round of funding. So the end state for most startups is death, right? So being pessimistic and sort of finding all the reasons they'll fail is one, intellectually lazy, but it does sound smart. Pessimism does sound smart, for sure. And so what ends up happening is you have these failures, right? And so my alma mater, Cosmos, here. Webvan, a who's who of garbage, right? But the thing is, it's the couple of guys that succeed that become the problem, right? So Amazon and eBay, which got discounted in 99, 2000, every retailer right now is, not now, they've been for the last few years sort of crapping their proverbial pants about Amazon, right? Distribution, they're upending, they're going after consumer packaged goods now. It's just crazy what's happening there. And so you have to watch out for the 1 or 2 that succeed. It's not the 99 that fail. So software is eating every industry. This graphic, 2006, shows you the biggest companies by market cap in 2006. You see one green company there on that list, Microsoft, meaning it's a tech company. And then look at 2016, tech runs the board, right? So this is happening everywhere. And so we look at industries from this concept of unbundling. This is the website of Wells Fargo, and around the perimeter are all the startups attacking each of their services. So there's no reason to believe that travel will be immune from the same trend. This is HSBC. So again, it's not a Silicon Valley. It's not a US thing. This is a global thing. We have FedEx getting unbundled. So, the list goes on and on. We kind of tongue-in-cheek did unbundling of walking. The automobile obviously has a lot going on there. big industrial companies. You have P&G. So the list goes on and on. Starwood, right? And so we'll kind of talk a little bit more about that. And then this is kind of his travel tech market maps, right? So there's a lot happening of innovation at the core as well. So it's not all these moonshot kind of ideas, right? You have, booking and search is becoming better, and there's sort of like things that are sort of very close to the core that are happening. And then you also have alternative lodging and kind of other kind of innovations happening as well. But so there's a lot going on in travel. I'll close with just a few thoughts. I think this is the big challenge for big companies, is that they spend inordinate amounts of time worried about basis points amongst their other giant competitors, right? And what they start to miss is startups and emerging business models that are not coming for your basis points, they're coming for your commas, right? And so you kind of have this issue, right, that it comes up. This is an interesting example from a very different space, but I think it's sort of instructive about what's going to happen in travel. This is CPG, and so I've highlighted the competitor now to CPG, and this is India as an example, is not CPG companies. It's people are spending their money on mobile data plans and not on refreshments and things, right? So you have these kind of adjacent competitors that come in. We've heard the same for Abercrombie and Fitch and Forever 21, my favorite stores. Young people are spending less at Abercrombie, spending it at Forever 21, and then using that income for other things, and often that's technology-related kind of expenditure. This is the thing that the Hilton CEO probably doesn't like to see, right? But Airbnb's valuation, and this is kind of its valuation step up over time. So we have its valuation at its seed round all the way back in 2009 when it came out of Y Combinator, and we've kind of tracked it by digging into lots of filings, and you see kind of how much it's grown. Not a good look if you're if you're an incumbent in the space. And then I think when we talk about the redrawing of competitive lines, this one's really interesting. So we work a lot with the auto companies, and they're doing a lot in the autonomous vehicle space. This isn't coming tomorrow. This isn't coming in 6 months, but GM paid $1 billion for Cruise. When you look at sort of U.S. travel routes, San Francisco to L.A. is the second most popular, and you better believe they're thinking about, is somebody going to choose to sit in their car and read a newspaper or take a nap and just get to LA from San Francisco and replace that with, replace the TSA pleasantries and the airport. So I think this is kind of where things are going. It's not happening tomorrow, all of it, but it's definitely going to happen. So I did it, 23 seconds. So thanks for your time.